welcome to Vacation Station, hosted by Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazines.com.
Founded in 1714, Natchitoches, which is spelled Natchitoches. Natchitoches is the original French colony and oldest city in the state of Louisiana. And Natchitoches is home to the Cane River Creole National Historical Park. It's part of the Cane River National Heritage Area, and it is the final destination on the El Camino Real de los Tejas National Historic Trail. And today on Big Blend Radio's Vacation Station Travel Show, we're going to hear all about the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame and Northwest-Louisiana History Museum. We're talking an impressive $23 million museum complex in the historic downtown Natchitoches area. And historic downtown Natchitoches, everybody's got to go there. It is, when we talk about having sense of place in a community and a destination and identity, this area certainly has it. And you can see Cane River Lake right there at the downtown, and it's beautiful. Brick Street.
You can get grits.
You can get grits and meat pies. And when you go to Natchitoches, you're never going to leave hungry. It is an amazing place. We're going to talk about the Sports Hall of Fame, the museum, and also find out about some of the events and festivals coming up for the summer, because there's always something to celebrate in Natchitoches. You can go to natchitoches.com, which is Natchitoches, which is pronounced Natchitoches, so natchitoches.com, and also see our past articles and interviews covering Natchitoches on nationalparktraveling.com. Just type in Natchitoches in the search and you'll find it. We've got three special guests joining us. Our first guest is no stranger to Big Blend Radio's Arlene Gould. She is the executive director of Natchitoches CVB, the Convention and Visitor Bureau there. Again, that's natchitoches.com. And welcome back, Arlene. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, ma'am.
Hey, it's awesome to have you back. And am I doing right of Natchitoches versus Natchitoches? I've got to get it out there so people understand how to type it in on the computer.
Well, it is hard to pronounce. And when you look at it, it is spelled, you want to say Nat because it's, Natchitoches. So, yeah, phonetically, yes, you're saying Natchitoches, but it's pronounced Natchitoches.
Natchitoches. It's a good name, and we're excited. We're going to come see you in the fall, and we're going to go from Natchitoches, Texas, to Natchitoches. We're going to do like an in-depth roots thing on this, because we got to have two different Natchitoches on one article. We have to. That's a must, and that's part of the actual trail I was mentioning earlier. The El Camino Real de los Tejas National Historic Trail this year is the 50th anniversary of our National Historic Trail System, so we figure we better dig in deep and at least do Natchitoches to Natchitoches.
Absolutely, and we can't wait to welcome you back to our community.
Oh, we can't wait to see you. We love it.
Exciting.
I know.
We're excited to do it.
And now I know we're going to talk about the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame and also the Northwest-Louisiana History Museum, which is interesting because this is a state museum. We've got two special guests joining you, Arlene, on this. But $23 million museum complex, it's basically a step, a few steps away from your office.
It is. It's merely just a half a block, like you said, just steps away, and we are so proud of it. It's a really phenomenal structure, and we are just so pleased. And when Doug gets on, he'll tell you a little bit about the history, how long the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame has been here in Natchitoches, but it has a new home, and I hope that many of our listeners will take time to come and visit us and take time to go visit the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame and Northwest-Louisiana History Museum.
Excellent. And we're going to bring Doug Ireland on. He's the chairman of the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, and you can go to LASportsHall.com, the LA standing for Louisiana, so LASportsHall.com. Welcome, Doug. How are you?
Oh, doing great. Thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity.
Hey, we're excited about this because not only are you the chairman of the Sports Hall of Fame, okay, so you got the fame thing going on there, but I also hear you're the assistant athletic director and sports information director for the Northwestern State Demons. So what kind of demons are you hiding over there?
Well, the best kind, the friendly kind. We're friendly demons who like to defeat visitors but entertain them before we defeat them.
Oh,
Okay.
that's
Now, is this
funny.
over at the Northwestern University, at the State University over in Natchitoches?
Yes, we're lucky. The university is 11,000 students. We have an NCAA Division I athletic program in 14 different sports. We have a rich tradition of excellence in our athletic program. And we also do a ton of community service. And our overall, we have about 400 student athletes, and overall, their aggregate grade point average is 3.1 on a 4.0 scale.
Wow.
cool.
Wow. That means they're enjoying Natchitoches, right? They're enjoying life, and they're
Learning.
quality of life, they're learning and playing at the same time. Good balance.
Absolutely. They are definitely balancing it and making the most of their experience in Natchitoches. And I can assure you, they enjoy the museum. They love downtown Natchitoches, and their parents love it even more.
Yeah, see, I like that. And Arlene goes, yes, bring those parents in. Thank you very much. We like that in our world of tourism,
Absolutely.
right, Arlene? She's like, yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, there's something for everyone, and that's the thing I love about Natchitoches. You can take a nice, leisure stroll down the downtown, down the Front Street. It is Front Street, right? Like, as my mind, I just see the signs because you have such beautiful signs out there, and you see the river, and you see all the historic sites, and so it's a beautiful place to go. And I want to talk about the Sports Hall of Fame, but I also want to bring on our next guest, Janae Biddiscombe, and I don't know, am I saying this correctly? It's an amazing name. That is a good one.
You did very well.
Did I do okay, Janae? Like Biddiscombe, is that Louisiana, or where's that last name come from?
No, I'm actually from outside of Boston originally.
Wow. Okay.
Whoa.
Wow. How did you get to Natchitoches? What inspired you there to go out there?
Well, I spent some time in the Southwest, and then I moved to New Orleans for 10 years, and I wound up working for the State Museum as a registrar in the curatorial department. And when we built this museum and they were looking for a director, I thought I loved Natchitoches, and I applied to be the director, and they thought enough of me, and I got the promotion and moved up here.
Right on, right on.
Awesome.
And everyone, Janae is the branch director of the Louisiana-Sports-Hall-Fame and also the Northwest-Louisiana-History Museum. And everyone, you can go to louisiana-state-museum.org. I was on that website today, and I'm like, okay, so this is interesting. We deal with national parks and state parks, and so I've never actually gone onto a state website where they have, like, here's our state museums. Is this kind of like our state parks where it's everybody connected together that way? Because I was like, oh, I know that we follow each other on Instagram, and I'm like, and because we've been to some of the museums, but I've never seen a state collective like this for museums.
Yes, we're all part. The nine museums in the system are all part of the same system. So New Orleans is the hub, and the curators are there, and the historians are there, and most of the administration is there. And those of us in Baton Rouge and Thibodaux and Patterson and Natchitoches, we're all branches off the State Museum. So we're all part of that same system.
Wow, wow.
Cool.
And so I know that there's some history here with the Sports Hall of Fame, but also looking at the museum now, you're connected, you're in one building, one complex, right, with the Sports Hall of Fame?
Correct.
Okay. And so this was a little different. Doug, take me back. I mean, was the Sports Hall of Fame always downtown, or was this a new complex that you moved in and said, I want in there? There's architecture and money going in there. I'm in.
It was a tremendous commitment by our state government, our state legislature, 3 different governors, 5 different lieutenant governors all came on board with this project.
Wow.
That spanned over a decade and survived Hurricane Katrina and that impact down in South Louisiana. But this goes all the way back to 1958 when the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame was created. And until for its first 14 years, it was kind of a wandering soul, if you will. Inductions were held at different places, different times. There was a few times when there were portraits hung up in a civic center in Shreveport and down at Baton Rouge and the old Baton Rouge basketball arena for LSU, but really didn't have a permanent home. And Natchitoches and Northwestern State University embraced it and offered a home in 1972. And we built some display cases and hosted the annual induction ceremonies and always dreamed of having a permanent standalone facility. In the late 90s, some very active local folks created the old courthouse museum here, trying to spotlight the local history, which is so significant, so deep. You mentioned Nacogdoches. Don't know if you realize the first capital of Texas was actually in Louisiana, 15 miles to the west of us.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah, tell that to the Texans.
But, okay, you're going to go with us when we do that?
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. But no, there's so much history here in the cradle of history in the Louisiana Purchase. We're in the oldest permanent settlement in the Louisiana Purchase. It's a community that certainly embraces that in so many ways, as you know from having been here. And so it was a logical place for the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame to be. When that group created the old courthouse museum to showcase history, they were literally in an old courthouse, and it was a facility not well suited to a museum in the truest sense. It had very limited space. The old courthouse was built last century, I believe it was. So they were looking for a way to improve where they were. And the Hall of Fame for years had come up with a few different ideas and been approached with others. The Superdome down in New Orleans at one point wanted to take our collection and house it. And there were other opportunities. But ultimately, we worked together with the governor, the lieutenant governor, the commissioner of administration, and the legislature. And in 2003, formed a partnership. In fact, almost exactly to this day in 2003. In late March, we formed a partnership between the Hall of Fame and Louisiana State-Museum system to have a shared facility in Natchitoches. And we, as I say, we survived Hurricane Katrina before the construction project was authorized, and it was literally supposed to have been authorized the next month. But clearly that went on hold. And a couple of years later, it turned out that opportunity was not only there, but in a bigger and better way, as the State Museum system decided, you know, it makes sense to branch out and go a little further north in our state than Baton Rouge. And Natchitoches being the cradle of history in Louisiana, it was a beautiful place to put a new state museum. And then the state really made the commitment, let's have the best one there is. And that's reflected in the architecture. It's certainly reflected in our membership, which is second to none. It's remarkable, the achievements of our inductees each and every year. And many of them are world-renowned and nationally known people who every day you look at the sports pages and there's a Louisiana tie. For example, just this past week, the Masters Golf Tournament was won by a gentleman, Patrick Reed, who played high school golf in Baton Rouge.
See?
I like it.
See, okay, so Arlene, I'm starting to feel the Arlene syndrome is happening of awards. Okay, so every time Arlene's on the show, she talks about, we just won this other award or another accolade of being the best town in the South for, you know, river views or hospitality, whatever it is. It goes on and on. The best Christmas festival. I mean, it always seems to, something magical is happening in that downtown of Natchitoches, you know. And I would say the whole heritage area that you have, there's some magic. And I think it's, Arlene, we don't live there, but we'd like to, honestly. But I think that there's a sense of community that just also sparks out to your visitors. And that's how all these awards and all these things happen, is that you look at the greater Natchitoches community. Number one, you're the oldest, you know, city and the original settlement. And when you look at that and you look at all these organizations coming together to make these museums and halls of fame happen and all these different things happen, I think it's the community, collective community that makes it happen.
Absolutely. We have several partners that continuously work together, including the Natchitoches Historic District Development Commission, the Natchitoches Historic District Business Association, the Association for Preservation Historic Natchitoches, the Natchitoches Historic Foundation. You know, the list goes on and on. The National Park Service, Kisatchee National Forest.
Yeah, we like that. Yeah.
You know, we have quite a few, our Chamber of Commerce and of course our CVB, and you know, the old saying, it takes a village, and you know, when we all work together collectively, we could do so much more together.
I love that.
And that really shines
One of the biggest partners that we have, though, and one of the hearts of our community is the Northwestern University community, with the students and their parents. And, of course, the university dates back to 1884. So it's been a part of Natchitoches for a long time.
And I think what's interesting, too, is it's educational. And this is, there's tourism that's educational. People travel. They want to learn something new and have an authentic experience. If you want authentic Louisiana, you go to Natchitoches. And stepping into museums is one of those things where you can understand where you're standing. And Janae, that's something, the Northwest-Louisiana-History Museum, we have to come see you. Number one, I want to slap my wrist for not going and seeing you. I think one of the days we weren't there, and I don't know, something happened, but we're still slapping our wrists and we're coming. We've definitely come to visit. But you have over 3,000 years of history in your museum.
We do, and that history section is beautiful, and it tells the story of the area, and instead it goes back to 3,000 years, pretty much to the present. So you can certainly learn a lot.
And it's diverse, and that's something that, when we talk about the community getting together, not just the organizations and the people, but we're looking at a diverse community and a diverse heritage. You're talking about the Caddo Indians, you got French, Spanish, Creole, you've got so many different cultures who have come together in this community and over the years.
Correct, and we touch on all of them and how they all, span throughout time and how they all have interacted throughout time and really sort of tells their story.
One of the things, too, and I was reading about the museum and looking on the website, everyone, louisiana-state-museum.org, go there, is that you talk also about the museum looking at explorers. Obviously, that's how, Louisiana was founded. And it's like, hey, we're the Mississippi River Basin. We're going to call it Louisiana after, Louis, one of the Louis of France. I can't remember what the number is. Louis, the Louis dude over in France at that time. But, when you think back, there's also all these artists and writers. And you're reading about the museum. It's so interesting to me because of being at Melrose Plantation, that's just also part of the Cane River National Heritage Area. There was this, here's this plantation history and women's history, and then this artist history. And I know Arlene's been on the shows. We've talked about this too, about the folk art history, but it's interesting that you celebrate that too in the museum. It seems like entrepreneurship, being creative and doing what you want to do is part of the Louisiana history and culture.
Correct. And we even have a Great Women of Louisiana section of the museum that talks about Clementine Hunter and Cammie G. Henry of Melrose Plantation and Carolyn Dorman, who is a great writer. And so, we celebrate all different, pretty much all people of part of Louisiana.
And then you have the sports side of it. And Doug, this is something interesting too, reading about who some of your inductees are and some of the exhibits. You have some interesting women's history there too, right?
Oh, it's a fascinating state for sports history and women's sports. Certainly, we have a deep history. You talk about significant people in American history and sport, like Audrey Mickey Patterson, who in 1948 became the first African American woman to medal for the United States at the Olympic Games. Right now, one of the big figures in sports, period, let alone women's collegiate basketball, is Kim Mulkey, the head coach at Baylor. Kim played at Louisiana Tech, was a great player, was an Olympic gold medalist in 1984 for the USA on the women's basketball team. She was one of 2 Louisiana products on that team. We can go on through a list of gymnasts, of basketball players, of coaches, track and field Olympians, and on through the list. And there will be others added in future years from interesting categories like motorsports, trailblazers, and what they've done. And certainly last year, one of the people we honored was Sue Donahoe, who not only for quite a few years coordinated the women's Final Four for NCAA basketball and took it from a modest event to a major 30,000 in the arena event, but she also, for a couple of years, oversaw the men's Final Four. So Sue is certainly one of the leading administrators in the history of collegiate athletics, and she's a Louisiana product.
Right, there it is. I love this, and it's interesting too because you have an induction ceremony coming up, a weekend celebration, because Natchitoches doesn't just have an evening. Like, we have to have the whole weekend to party and celebrate. That's just the Natchitoches way. Celebrate-nat, that hashtag celebrate-nat on social media. It's a serious deal. So you have this weekend coming up, June 28th through July 1st, 2018. What I want to know is, when you induct someone into the Hall of Fame, do they have to be a Louisiana? I'm going to say this right. Do they have to be from Louisiana or go to school in Louisiana? What are the rules to be able to?
Yeah, thank you for asking, because, it's interesting. For a while, when Michael Jordan was playing basketball, when kids would walk through what we had then, a display, I would inevitably be asked, well, is Michael Jordan going to be in here? No, he's not, because he has no Louisiana ties. Basically, you have to have graduated, finished, and competed in high school here, gone to college for at least 2 years here, played professionally or coached professionally for 5 years here to be eligible. Bill Russell was born in Louisiana, the great basketball player, but his family moved to Oakland when he was 6. So he didn't attend high school here, and he's not eligible. And there's a pretty nice list of people who were great sports figures nationally and internationally, who have Louisiana roots that way, but did not have the ties that we require. And yet, with that exclusive standard, we still have, as I say, some of the more remarkable figures in the history of sports. And it's a long list of Pro Football Hall of Famers, Basketball Hall of Famers, Olympic gold medalists, and Kentucky Derby winning jockeys, and just on down the list. In any sport, we've got them.
Okay, what about Archie Manning? Because I'm going to ask this because Oxford, Mississippi, one of our travel writers just came back from Oxford, Mississippi.
Beautiful
and
city.
She said, the Mannings, that's it. Like, this is a big deal because of Ole Miss and the university over there, and that this is a big deal over there. And then looking at the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, I'm seeing the Manning name in there too. So how did that happen? Who did what?
And you'll see another Manning next year. Peyton Manning becomes eligible for our Hall of Fame in 2019. We're already obviously excited about that. But Archie played for the New Orleans Saints for most of his professional career. Archie lives in New Orleans. His sons were born and raised in New Orleans. But the fact that he played for the Saints during the most significant portion of his career made him eligible for the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame.
Wow. Okay, so now, do you think you'll ever have anybody in the Hall of Fame for playing curling? That interesting sport, that Olympic winter sport. Do you have any winter sports people?
We do. We have a winter Olympian. Now, he also ran the hurdles in 4 summer Olympic games. Willie Davenport was a great Olympic hurdler who in 1980 competed for the United States in the bobsled in the Olympic Games.
Wow.
Yeah, so we've got some unique folks here.
I want some curling in there. I'm just saying.
It could happen, and I'll tell you, we had some folks go up to the Winter Olympics and media who came back enthralled by curling, and in Shreveport-Bossier, they're trying to start some curling activity up there. So who knows, maybe the gestation period might be 10 years or so. We might produce an Olympic curler down the road.
You know what? My hair needs some curling, and maybe I need to come out for some Louisiana humidity for that.
It may be
in the desert.
It may be that we do have world-class curlers in that respect quicker than we do for the Winter Olympics.
That's right. I'm just saying. Okay, so you have this induction weekend and celebration coming on. Are we allowed to know who's being inducted into the Hall of Fame?
Oh, absolutely. And you mentioned we have a weekend of celebration. That's the Louisiana way. You can mention any other state in the country, and there's wonderful things about each and every state. But when you say Louisiana, it just resonates, and people think fun, food, music, culture, and sports. Yeah, and that's what we combine all of that into our activities. We have receptions. We have a big riverbank party down on the newly renovated Rue Beauport riverfront. We've got clinic for kids and a clinic for adults too with tennis. One of our inductees this year is a great tennis coach, Jerry Simmons. We have Paul Candies, who is in the International Drag Racing Hall of Fame. We have Louis Cook, a great high school football coach. Jack Haynes. Louisiana is so much a great place to be an outdoors person. Well, Jack Haynes was one of the first people to win the Bassmaster Classic, which is the Super Bowl of fishing tournaments, and he's from South Louisiana. The tennis coach aforementioned is Jerry Simmons, who's in the Collegiate Tennis Coach Hall of Fame as a great coach at LSU and also Louisiana Lafayette. Of course, then mainstream sports. Baseball, Russ Springer pitched 18 years in the major leagues with 10 different teams and was a great star at LSU. Then really everybody thinks Louisiana, they think football, and understandably so. Two great receivers who ironically caught Peyton Manning's passes when the Indianapolis Colts won a Super Bowl. Brandon Stokely played 15 years in the NFL, and Reggie Wayne from New Orleans is probably ultimately headed to another Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio, the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's one of the great receivers in pro football history. Then you talk about human interest. Well, let me not forget Larry Wright, a great basketball player at Grambling and in the NBA. But our human interest, Steve Gleason. Do you know that name? Steve Gleason.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, and I'll tell you why. Not because he was a fine pro football player for the New Orleans Saints, but because of what's happened since he retired in 2007. 2 years later, he was diagnosed with ALS.
That's right.
And he continues to fight that battle. And not only that, he has created Team Gleason. It's a foundation that does all sorts of remarkable things, not only in Louisiana, but across the country. And Steve is just celebrated his 41st birthday. He is still going at it and inspiring people and making a huge difference in lives with every day that he and his foundation get great things done. And he's receiving what we call the Dave Dixon Louisiana Sports Leadership Award this summer.
I love this. I love what you're talking about because I think sports is so interesting. Some people are into curling, some are into baseball. So, everybody's different. Football, and some people are into all of it. And then the human interest story, I think, is so important because I think it unites everybody. And sports has this way of teaching people about going for a challenge and focusing on a goal.
Focus.
And I think this is what's so interesting about a museum like yours, the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, and that you have these events, that I think it really transcends beyond, because I think a little kid can walk into this and see what someone has achieved, and it can change their lives. And I think even going to an event like this, it can change someone's life where they'll take on, maybe it isn't even sports, that they will take on a challenge of something that they're passionate about. And I think the more we have of that, the better, right? And do it in a good way. There's got to be, that's the thing about be a good sports person, a healthy
You
one.
have nailed it. That is precisely what I like to tell people. A long time ago, I had a girlfriend who was a law student, and she couldn't understand why I was spending all this time getting ready for this event. She knew it was kind of a big deal, but she's not a sports person at all, didn't really want to go. And then finally, a day or two before, she said, I'd like to see what you've been doing. Can I attend your banquet? She did, and she was enthralled. And it wasn't because of the touchdowns they'd scored or the medals they'd won or anything else. It was because of who these people were and their stories and how inspiring and how amazing the odds were that they had come through all of what they'd done to succeed so highly in their sports. But then we're really great people sharing their success with the people they love, the people who helped them along the way, and they also give back. Steve Gleason is certainly an incredible example of that.
I love this, and I think this is the role of museums too. I want to go to Janae with this, with people coming into the museum, these stories of people in a place. There's the same kind of thing, whether it's sports or not. There's that story of people and how they overcame things and how, even settling in an area. I mean, definitely the history is so deep in Natchitoches. I mean, it's from all walks of life. Do you see people's faces and kids' faces change into inspiration and also reality of what has happened and is, where things still need to change in life?
Absolutely, especially with the sports side. One of the great things about working at the museum is that, we get so many people who come in who know these inductees. They were their coaches. They were their classmates. We even had one lady who used to babysit Pete Maravich, one of the greatest basketball players ever. And so we get to hear these very personal stories about these people and the people in their lives that they touched and their memories. And then when we have the kids come in with the school groups, they're always just enthralled about the items that we have, and we always ask them, well, if you were inducted, what would you give us? And so they have their own individual sports, and they say, well, we would give you this and this to tell our story, because it really is about telling the stories of the people who are inducted in the history of the area. It's not just items on display. It's sort of weaving it all together to make a cohesive story.
Nancy, I know you were...
No, I just wanted to say that when we visited this area, the one thing we felt was heart, heart, soul, and focus. So if you're going to have a river district, it's going to be the best. If you're going to have this, it's going to be the best.
Just ask Arlene.
Yeah, that's what we came home with. It's like a shining example of if we're going to do it, we're going to do it right.
And together.
And inclusive. And that's what we picked up about the whole area. And we didn't want to go home because we were like, no, man, this is cool.
This is, yeah.
And whether or not you're like a sports aficionado, you still have to appreciate the focus and dedication,
that drive
and soul that goes into being a winner and doing the best you can and always putting your best foot forward. And that's what we always felt about Natchitoches as a whole, like the best foot forward.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Arlene, it goes down to the bricks outside the Sports Hall of Fame and the museum.
Well,
really
I have two Sports Hall of Fame stories that I want to share with you, and one of them is the year that it opened. We had, of course, the big grand opening, and it just so happened that Shaquille O'Neal was being inducted that year. So, of course, we had, it was a wonderful event. But my favorite part of that night was when Shaquille O'Neal renamed Natchitoches. It's now Shakatosh.
I love that. Shakatosh.
Well, and the other story I want to tell you is, because, we just lost Mr. Tom Benson, the owner of the New Orleans Saints and the New Orleans Pelicans teams down in New Orleans. But he was inducted a couple of years ago. And, of course, me being from New Orleans, I remember him very fondly. And when he was inducted, one of the items that was on display was his umbrella that he used to do the Benson Boogie with in the Superdome after all the wins. And so, yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that is awesome.
That's heartfelt. That's
yeah. Now, okay. So I've dug Shaq in the Hall of Fame. That's gotta have been cool, man. Seriously, Shaq. I mean, he's a big boy.
Shaq's large. I don't care who you are. Shaq's large, and I'll tell you, when he came into Natchitoches, he stopped at Popeye's Chicken and got some chicken. That was the first thing he did.
Yay.
But here's a great little vignette about Shaq. Shaq is also in Dade County, Florida. He is a deputy sheriff. I mean, he's registered. He's done all the work, and he is a deputy sheriff down there. So we've got time between our morning clinic on Saturday and the induction ceremony that evening, and we've had security with him just because you want to be careful. Yeah. And he asked his security guy, he says, "Do you guys have a shooting range around here?" They went out and shot. He and a couple of cops, and they had a big time at the range. And Shaq signed his last target, which was very tightly packed around the bullseye. And he signed his target. It says, "To Natchitoches SWAT, never let a 40% career free throw shooter outshoot you." Shaq.
That's funny.
That's who he is. He is a great guy. He's your next door neighbor who's in this big Shrek, unbelievable body, but he is the sweetest, most sincere, real person that you could ever want to be around.
Whenever you look at him, you just want to start smiling.
Well, yeah,
he has that connectivity.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting. You talk about, when he came out for the whole weekend, because again, Natchitoches likes to celebrate. Now, let me just say this. Here it is, the Sports Hall of Fame, and we're talking about, these, big dudes. But then, apparently, so Thursday you have a welcome reception, and everybody gets to go into the Hall of Fame and have cocktails, which I know you do very well in Natchitoches, and munchies, which you do very well in Natchitoches. Everybody having a beat of beer, if you can get your hands on one, because it's flowing in Natchitoches. And Louisiana, local beer. You got to have it when you go into Louisiana. You got to have it. And everybody gets to see the actual museum and the Hall of Fame. But the next day, apparently, we get to go to the spa. I'm ready for the
gotta feel good.
Spa treatment day. So, ladies, we could all get our nails done and have spa day. Then there's disco bowling that's happening on this Friday too. You have your nails done, and then you're going to go bowling.
Then you go bowling.
So I don't know how many ladies can do that, but I think this is going to be for the kids too, right? Disco bowling, 70s disco bowling is part of the event. This is cool, Doug. I'm ready.
We have fun, and it's something. It's interesting. Some of these folks have been on the brightest stages you can be in sports, and even Terry Bradshaw, obviously one of the better-known celebrities. These people come in, and we have to show them a good time. We have to make it memorable. And Ed Reed was inducted last year. He's coming back this year because he had so much fun.
And he wants to have a pedicure. Janae, do you think a lot of ladies are going to go in? This is a thing. Going in for a spa treatment day. I just want to say, like, how is this going to be a big hit? Do you think with the women, the ladies?
Oh, absolutely. And that spa is wonderful. So
the Magnolia Magnolia Spa sounds good to me.
Yes.
I mean, if you got magnolia flowers, which you
can the men go in too?
Yeah. Are the men going to go in? Well, I want to go be the
sure they're allowed.
I want to go there.
I don't know.
Okay, so I want to talk about
good pedicure goes a long way.
It does. It does. You got to fix things, and it could be pedicures. Pedicures are necessary. Mm-hmm. I want to talk about the Rockin' River Fest because I hear this is the first one that you guys are doing. But I think this is exciting because, Arlene, apparently the riverfront has got a big facelift, like Shaquille O'Neal style big.
It did. A $4 million facelift. How's that?
Good enough for me.
No, we did last year. We did a wonderful transformation on the riverbank. So I think that Doug and the Sports Hall of Fame has a new event because we want to show it off. We're going to go down to the riverbank and have a good time.
And it's steps away from the that's the thing.
Absolutely.
All downtown.
Absolutely.
So steps away from the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
We've always dreamed of doing this, and now we have a facility and a setting that is just so good that it's a natural fit. We've had a Friday night party for many, many years, and now we're just taking it to the people and making it a huge block party in the biggest block we have right on the riverbank.
Bands and fireworks. And lastly, I've got to ask about this taste of tailgating. I have a question for each of you. I want to know who you're going to tailgate with. One person that you've never met that you want to tailgate with. And I want to know what you're going to serve that person to eat and drink. So you're going to go tailgating because you have this VIP taste of tailgating. I think that is the coolest thing.
I know. I love it.
It's like I want all of this. I want the manicure and the tailgating and the party. And I want the Riverfest. This is all good. I can't promise I'm going to behave. But let's start with you, Doug. Who are you going to take tailgating? What are you going to feed them? And are you going to are you going to go in an RV? Like, what are you going to tailgate in? Like, how's that?
We've got an air-conditioned tent that's going to be right next to the stage for the VIP, so to speak. So I'll be spending a lot of time there. But you know what? The beautiful amphitheater downtown now, hanging out there, listening to the bands and having a great time waiting for the fireworks. Who am I going to tailgate with? I think in this group, probably Russ Springer, the major league pitcher. He pitched for 10 major league teams, 18 seasons. Can you imagine the number of times that he made the tour of America? And what can I feed him? Well, he's got Louisiana roots, and I think you got to go with gumbo.
That's
gumbo.
That's it. It's a given.
Okay, and then what is the libation?
Well, there's so so many good choices that way. In Louisiana, yeah. Yeah, I think your Vita beer is hard to top. We have one that actually is in Shreveport, Great Raft beer, which is created by folks who graduated from our university, Northwestern State University. And Great
put them
Raft.
in the Hall of Fame.
Well, they're on their way. They had a reception and showcased their new brew in the Hall of Fame, and I think Janae had to shut it down that night and had a tough time ushering people out.
You better give Janae that extra manicure.
Here comes a beer fountain.
Ooh.
Wouldn't that be fun?
I don't know how the foam would do that. Okay, Janae, what happened that night? I mean, did it get out of hand? Because I know I just saw all the photos from the first annual Cane River Film Festival. And I saw the photos from the party that happened in there, and I'm like, this is a serious party spot. So, like, how much of your job is making sure people behave in the museum? Because people could create a mystery.
That's a big part of my job during the events, but it's also to make sure everyone has a great time. The staff is there because, like we had mentioned, they want to know about the architecture. They want to know about the exhibits. They can go upstairs. They can look at the whole. We're always open. The whole museum's open during any of those programs or rentals or events. So, we're there to definitely sort of guide them through and hope they all have a good time.
Awesome. So, who are you taking tailgating? Could be anyone.
I would. Well, if it's in this group, like Doug said, I think Steve Gleason. I would love to be able to sit and actually talk to and hang out with. The riverbank is beautiful, and so that would be a great place, or the museum. And I would have to say, I'd have to go with the Natchitoches meat pie for the food.
Yeah. And
libation.
Meat pies have to be in there.
Mhm.
What are you gonna drink?
Oh, libation. Okay. Well, I'm not really a beer drinker, so I guess if I was going to do a Louisiana drink, maybe a Sazerac.
That's a serious drink.
Okay, we don't know.
We need instruction on that.
We need instructions. I'm curious. I'm ready to come back, and I want to know about this cocktail. What is this?
Well, I think it has whiskey in it. Someone can. I'm not even sure exactly what's in it. I know I've had it. It tastes good, and I like it.
That already tells me it's a good drink. Okay.
I've never had to make one.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay.
Got to put it on the list.
It's on the list. It's on the list
of what to do.
I know. Arlene, so who's hanging out with you at your tailgating party?
Well, I'm going to go with Janae's choice also, Steve Gleason. It's amazing what he's done with ALS. I mean, and I say that because Dale Williams, who was a dear friend of mine in New Orleans, he actually played on the first team for the New Orleans Saints. He was All-American in college, played for the New Orleans Saints, and he too had ALS and passed away at the age of 39. But, the technology has come so far in those, few decades that it'd be very interesting to sit and speak and have, some time with Steve Gleason and his family, his wife, and I'm sure his little son too would be coming along for the ride to see his father inducted into the Louisiana-Sports-Hall-Fame. And Janae took my choice too for food. Those Natchitoches meat pies. But I'll change it up a little bit, and I'll make it a crawfish pie. How's that?
Okay, there you go. That's good.
A little crawfish pie. And for my libation, I think I'm going to go with the Dixie beer. Mr. Tom Benson recently had purchased the Dixie beer down in New Orleans, and so it's back on the shelves. And so, yeah, Dixie beer. When I was a little girl,
I feel like we're going to come on a beer tour.
I remember seeing
now.
all those Dixie beer signs.
We're going to be beering and museuming and trailing. I don't know. Sounds like we're going to have a party when we come back. I didn't know that you guys had that much beer, but beer is
always.
You never fear when
especially
the beer
in the summertime. Especially in the summer months when it's really hot, an ice cold beer.
Yeah.
Usually that's the trick.
Yeah, we hung out with you in the summer, and I liked it personally.
Either that or frozen daiquiri,
Oh,
so,
that's right. You guys have the drive-through things in Louisiana.
Yeah.
Drive-through daiquiris. I won't tell you about our experience with that.
Maggio's celebrated 50 years. You know, the little Maggio's. I think I took y'all there from
the restaurant on the river.
Yeah.
Right.
No. Maggio's was the drive-through liquor store.
No, we don't know about that.
Where they have daiquiris. Well, maybe we missed that. We'll have to put that on the list.
Oh, well, we got to sort that. I thought we meant Maglio's, the restaurant on the river, which
there is
so
a Maglio's. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Right on the river.
Yeah, and they have the Cane River B&B, the Cane River Inn or Cane Inn.
Sweet Cane Inn.
Sweet Cane Inn. Thank you.
Yeah.
That is a beautiful place to stay. Everybody got to go stay there. That is. And it's neat because you can walk downtown from that. So if you no drinking and driving, don't do anything you shouldn't do.
Yeah, the pub's real convenient right there too, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. I know, we like it.
I would like to see a drive-through where you could make a bank deposit and then get a beer or your libation.
So your ATM gives you a drink.
Yes.
Like, here, thank you for depositing money. Here's your daiquiri. Okay, yeah, all right. Okay, so I want to just go ahead here too because looking at summer, definitely there's the big event that's happening over at the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame with the induction weekend and celebration again. It's Thursday, June 28th through Sunday, July 1st, 2018. And everyone, you can go to the website. It is louisiana-sports-hall-fame. But Janae, I wanted to touch on the Northwest-Louisiana-History Museum, everyone, louisiana-state-museum.org. That you have a new exhibit coming up. It's going to run May 5th through January 12th, I believe. Can you tell us about that?
Correct. We're very excited about this. It is Braving the Attempt, the Special Olympics in Louisiana, and it is going to tell the story of the athletes, the story of the organization. It is the 50th anniversary of the first athletes from Belle Chase that competed in the Special Olympics in Louisiana. So we're very, very excited. We've got some wonderful artifacts and wonderful stories, and it will be up during the induction weekend. So we'll have a great exhibit at the museum for everyone to enjoy.
Awesome. And again, if you're in Natchitoches at a different time, it's there. You also have different programs happening at the museum. Can you tell us about that?
We do. And I forgot, we're actually on May 5th, that Saturday, we're having an open reception that's open to the public from 6 to 8. We'll have a band.
And what are you serving? Just kidding.
No, I haven't decided yet. But we'll definitely have some beer and wine. But we'll have speakers and some athletes, Special Olympics athletes also, and I think it'll be a wonderful opening for that exhibit.
Nice.
And we do other museums. Does other community programs. We have on April 26th an evening of art where you can come and you can paint some door hangers. We have on we have on May 12th the Red River campaign. One of the rangers from the Cane River National Heritage Area is going to talk and speak about the Cane River campaign, and we have a lot of just fun, interesting things, throughout the year at the museum.
That's exciting. The Red River campaign is a really fascinating history, and it's like I can't get into it with that. That's a whole other show. But that is some fascinating history that people may not. I mean, wasn't baseball played at some point or something during that? Where I was going to say, like the Confederates and the Union at some point played baseball somewhere in Louisiana. Oh, something happened with that.
I don't know, but maybe Michael will hit upon it on his talk.
I know. I want to be there now. Now I'm excited. I got to go. This is cool. I can't wait to get back, Nancy and I both, to come out and visit the Sports Hall of Fame. And it's always exciting to have something new to go and visit. And Natchitoches obviously does very well with that. Last thing, Doug, I wanted to say that you also have a golf event happening. You have Championship Saturday. You have a junior training camp with that, but also aside from the induction dinner and ceremony also happening on June 30th, Saturday, June 30th, you also have a golf classic. So is that open to the public to register?
Yes, every one of our events is open to the public, and obviously there are some that are ticketed that you have to pay for. That Thursday night opening reception is a free event. The Saturday morning clinic for about 200 kids put on by the Saints and Pelicans is free. We do things that we want to reach out to the community, and obviously the big party on the river Friday night is a free concert, a free party. Saints and Pelicans are involved in that as well. But the golf Classic. It's a scramble golf tournament at a great golf course centrally located in Alexandria, about 40 miles away from us. And we have that each year, and we'll have roughly 130 golfers out there eating again, getting refreshments again, and having great time on the golf course.
It's the Louisiana way of life, man.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And
eat, drink,
and Doug,
be merry.
tell them who they got to play golf with last year.
Well, last year we inducted.
inductees.
Yeah, one of the inductees was David Toms, former Ryder Cup member and major golf champion. David Toms, who is right up the road in Shreveport, and
Wow.
so David was out there hitting the golf ball a little differently than everybody else in the tournament.
I want to just touch on this real quick before we go. Part of this whole Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame happening together with the Louisiana State-Museum, I love this partnership, but also looking at the Louisiana Sports Writers Association getting involved. I have to bring this up since, we're a magazine. I just think that it's interesting that a writers association got involved with this. How instrumental were they? Did they help with any of the writing of exhibits, or were they really like, hey, this is something that's cool that can happen? You just don't always hear about writers associations getting involved in a museum like that.
No, they're the parents of this museum. The Sports Writers Association was formed in 1958, and one of the two reasons was to create a Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. And the museum was always a dream. And in fact, you hit the nail on the head. When we were developing the script and the programming and all the content for the museum, sports writers played a very key role collaborating with the experts from Louisiana State Museums to be sure that the scripts, while sports specific, were not overbearing. And that's one thing you've remarked about the shared history sports commonality of this museum, two different museums really under one roof. But we love the idea that people are going to come and check out the History Museum who have really no first interest in sports. But as they go to the History Museum, they're going to encounter exhibits and storylines that speak to them. They don't have to know that Shaquille O'Neal scored 30-some-odd thousand points in the NBA. They'll get the human side of things, and that's a tribute to Louisiana State Museums and the great professionals there, and vice versa. All the people who come for the sports are getting exposed to the history side. It's a walkthrough on our second floor that you have sports, you have history, and it's, I got to tell you, I've been obviously up there so many times, and I still haven't gotten enough of the history side. It is fascinating.
I love the human interest because I think it's an inspiration for people to go and do what they're supposed to do.
But just for people,
get out there, do it.
But just go do something completely different that you think, oh, I only like this.
Yeah.
Like I only like this one kind of music.
Yeah.
Stop it. Go find out. You don't know until you experiment.
Exactly.
You know? And so if you think you don't like history, you don't know about history. I can guarantee you that. If you say you don't like history, you don't know about it.
Well, that's the Big Blend concept.
Exactly. And we've been criticized for saying variety is the spice of life. Go look at it all. Look at it from different angles. Go find out. Okay, so maybe you can't recite all the sports, stuff and who did what and when. But I can guarantee you, if you go look at the sports magazine or a sports museum, and you're going to appreciate what sports people have done, and the same with history.
Exactly.
The same with art.
I love that you're in the same building, and you've got pubs on either side of you,
and we appreciate that too.
I'm just saying, you got a restaurant, you got river views. I mean, you're right there. And I think with the day we were there, it was like you guys were closed, or I don't know what was going on, but it's our time. And we also guilty sports. We're not sports minded, but the stories. I remember being in a town, Tulare, California, small town, dairy town in Central California, and going into their museum, and all of a sudden they had this wing that. You talk about World War II history. I mean, just all the uniforms, men and women. They had one of the few places that you'd see World War II, women in World War II who were actually active on the front lines and flew. And I mean, we didn't know about this, you know. And they had 2 Olympians in their town. Pride came from these Olympians, and it was like you look around, you go, wow, you know, this is amazing where people come from, and I think that's so important that the human story is told, because people will travel for that. People will travel to see where people came from. You know, they do it with music, right? You guys are like right there on the whole music belt too. So I think it's really cool that people have a place to learn something brand new that they didn't know and experience something. Like, there is no experience like Natchitoches. Arlene, before you go, talking about music, Folk Festival coming up July 20th to 21st. That's a big deal. That's a big festival.
Well, and it's held at the campus at Northwestern State University in the Prather Coliseum, where it's air conditioned. And they also have the Louisiana State Fiddle Championship competition during the time of the Folk Festival. So it's a Friday evening and all day Saturday. They have crafts displayed and craft demonstrations. This year, I want to say it's the 39th year. So it's a fabulous event. It's one of my favorites here in Natchitoches.
Wow, this is amazing. Amazing. Everybody, natchitoches.com is where you go. Natchitoches.com, if you want to pronounce it. Natchitoce, CHES, natchitoches.com, but it's Natchitoches. Also, for the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, go to LA-sports-hall.com. And also, when it comes to the Louisiana State Museum, or I should say the Northwestern, right, Janae? The Northwest-Louisiana-History Museum, go to louisiana-state-museum.org. You can also learn more if you go to nationalparktraveling.com for stories of what we've done in the past in Natchitoches and hear past interviews as well. Thank you all for joining us.
Well,
what a pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. And we're going to play a song. We're going to close this with a special song. It's called Throwdown. It's from Johnny Master and the Mama's Boys, and they're based out of New Orleans. And you can go to johnnymaster.com. It's off their album, Take Me to Your Maker. And Throwdown, I just figured, like, Doug, am I right? That's a sports song. Throwdown.
Absolutely it is. We're going to throw down and have a great time and cheer for our team, cheer for our athlete. And as I said, we're going to pass a good time.
That's awesome. Right on. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Big Blend Radio airs Sunday through Friday. Monday through Thursday, we're airing live 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Friday and Sunday, 11 a.m. Pacific Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. The schedule is up at bigblendradio.com. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Here it is. Throwdown. Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, da, da.